Okay, Derbyites, now that Joyce Eng has joined the editorial team of Gold Derby, it is our sworn duty here to give her grief about her predictions. And let's start with Golden Globes TV. Marcus doesn't like your prediction, Joyce.
Well, look, Ewan McGregor is a fantastic actor. He played 2 roles on Fargo, but I just don't know if they're going to go back to the Fargo well this year. And I know you have him in first, but what about Robert De Niro? You don't think he could win this?
I mean, he's only won one competitive award ever, and that was just for Raging Bull 37 years ago. And like he can obviously win on his now's his time. Like he can win on his name alone. I can see like any of the 4 winning, Jude Law, Ewan, Kyle MacLachlan, like except for Jeffrey Rush, just because of like the sexual harassment allegations, which didn't really like take off like many of the other ones, but I feel like they just won't go there and get him on stage. But I can see any of the 4 winning. I have Ewan just because Fargo made the series cut, and I am hoping.
And he plays dual roles. That always helps.
Yeah. And I'm hoping for a Moulin Rouge reunion between Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman backstage. They gave us a Titanic reunion 2 years ago. Like, they can totally do this.
And it's also a situation, Ewan McGregor has never won. It seems
this is his 3rd nomination.
Yeah. And it seems like he would have won by now, but he hasn't. It doesn't.
They could take care of FX.
Yeah.
Like, they gave FX comedy series and Donald Glover last year. They're out this year. They just take care of FX that way.
Yeah. Okay. And it seems odd that they would go back to the Fargo well, but they went back to the American Horror Story well for Lady Gaga. And they loved Fargo more than I expected, not just a limited series. They nominated David Thewlis in the supporting category, so they're still behind it. I think it had the most support by far of any nominee in that.
And this season was like its weakest season of the 3 too.
Well, you're starting to convince me about Ewan McGregor. I do have
the Nicole Kidman reunion.
Yeah, but she's not winning. I think Jessica Biel's winning.
I have her too, which I don't know if I'm just overthinking it, but I just feel like they could give Big Little Lies limited series, so she'll Nicole will still win as a producer.
Right.
But Jessica Biel is just like that Globes actress who could totally win. You know, she's been in the business for a long time. This was a sleeper hit. She got great reviews.
She has done campaign event.
She'll bring Justin Timberlake to the show.
Yes.
Who's premiering? Who's got a song coming out this Friday? Justin Timberlake. Yeah.
I have her winning too, but of course, to vote against Nicole Kidman here is
I know
is
it sounds really stupid. I may chicken out and just switch back to Nicole, but I could totally see them giving it to Jessica. And like they gave it to Gaga over Kirsten Dunst. When that was Kirsten Dunst's best performance. They gave it to Maggie Gyllenhaal over Frances McDormand.
But I do have Big Little Lies winning, so I think you're right. That's where Nicole gets her Globe. And Reese
like
too.
Nicole,
Reese will win.
Like Nicole does feel like one of those performances that just sweeps like all the major awards. Mm-hmm. It's like she'll finally win her first SAG in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But so it feels stupid to vote against her, and like they love her. Like she's won 3 Globes already.
And Big Little Lies had 6 nominations, which is just too shy of the record for TV. The record's 8, and so it's gonna probably win a lot. So I don't know. I like this Jessica Biel thing. Do we all have Jessica Biel?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Wow.
They nominated The Sinner.
That one is. If you put had the Wikipedia page and said typical Globe winner, Jessica Biel's picture would be already on there.
Right. Also, the voter is looking for what's new, hip, sexy, and all of that, and she certainly is that. What about over on the comedy musical side? This is where things get interesting among lead actresses. Where if they like the new stars, then does that mean it's Rachel for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Is it Frankie Shaw for Smilf? Is it Alison Brie for Glow? You know, this is I've heard, or even Pamela Adlon for Better Things. I've heard from the sources actually, within these ranks, hearing strong support for all of them, there is an assumption that Rachel is out front here. But this is packed with new contenders, largely. And where do you stand on all this, Joyce? Because they could pull a Frankie Shaw thing, right?
And Joyce, I mean, for the people that don't know, I mean, you've just come over to us from TV Guide. So, I mean, this TV is absolutely your beat. So which one of those shows that Tom just mentioned really had the most buzz, was the one that was being talked about, was the one that the readers of TV Guide wanted to read about the most?
I currently have both Rachel Brosnahan and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel winning, just because of recency. Like it's the newest show. It came out the week after Thanksgiving, and like, I mean, it could just be like the echo chamber I'm in, but people love that show. And it's on Amazon, which we know the Globes love. It's like their favorite network. So, and they usually, like, it helps if you're an actor and your show is nominated too, which I think hurts Alison Brie, because otherwise I think I would have picked her, and Pamela Adlon as well, because their shows aren't up. But I could totally see, like, since Frankie Shaw and Smilf are also paired up, I could see them winning too.
And yeah, Marcus, you just wrote an item about how the Globes love the Amazon, at least on the comedy side, right?
Yeah, it's really crazy. Transparent won 3 years ago. 2 years ago was Mozart in the Jungle. Last year was Atlanta, but Atlanta's not coming back. So they could win with Marvelous, which I think they will, which will be 3 out of the past 4 years. That's just absolutely
Which
insane.
is why I kind of want to switch to Kevin Bacon.
That's who I have. I have Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
And he's the biggest name. Like, that category is wide open.
He's the Billy Bob Thornton. He won last year for Amazon.
Goliath on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't Chris? I seem to recall that you had tipped Billy Bob Thornton winning for Goliath long before anyone was even talking about that show. So where do you see that category and any other category we've talked about going?
On the comedy actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason is they tip, if given a chance, they'll pick the biggest movie star in the category. So your idea of Kevin Bacon is not, I haven't really thought much about him getting in there, winning that, but that does sound more interesting. They do like to pair things up, which is why I've got Marvelous and Rachel winning. Almost every year, a drama series and either the drama actor or actress wins. Occasionally you'll get like a Mr. Robot Christian Slater as well, where it's supporting. They do like to pair things up. I've got Aziz Ansari right now. Wasn't eligible last year, was also up the year before. He's not from a foreign background, but his parents are. And that is intriguing to me. The show is nominated. I don't think it will win. Eric McCormack, we've talked in other articles and videos about how it's never won a single Golden Globe. He just hosted the Golden Globe 75th anniversary special with Deborah Messing. That would ingratiate him to them as well. Can you imagine the eruption at least from his table when he goes up? So I'm talking myself into everybody in that category. I'm confident on Marvelous and Rachel. I don't have any doubt there at all, due to the Amazon factor, due to the brand new factor. Also, they love Mad Men almost as much as the Emmys, and it has a Mad Men kind of a feel to it on top of all that. So I'm pretty confident on that. I'm not sure on actor, but I've got Aziz right now.
I've got Eric McCormack with Kevin Bacon in second place. So does Joyce. I think that's smart here. I think Eric's been making the rounds. We've run into him and Deborah on the circuit, and they have been working it really well with the HFPA and keeping a good sense of humor about holding the record as the biggest losers. And they, in this 75th anniversary special that Chris is talking about, they make constant jokes about it too. It's an ongoing running gag. So it's a top of mind with the voters, and I could see them saying, all right, this is where we go here. But Kevin Bacon is is more of the kind of typical Globe pick here.
But I wonder if 3 to Amazon though in comedy. They do like to spread that out too.
Right.
I don't think Amazon's going to win that many. I mean, last year when Billy Bob Thornton won, I think he was the only Amazon victor last year. So I may switch back to Eric McCormack. I'm gonna have to think about this, but I like Kevin Bacon for the moment.
And then we're also thinking before the NBC, because this NBC broadcasts the Globes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm picking Eric McCormack. This feels like, a make good moment, like sort of like they did with Amy Poehler. Like one year they nominated Parks and Recreation for series, and they finally gave it to her. She'd been hosting the Globes once or twice by then. And, given how well known it is that Will and Grace has never won a Golden Globe, the fact that Eric McCormack hosted the anniversary special, it's gonna look really callous for them to invite the show.
They
and
like
Eric
to
McCormack back.
catch up. Like sometimes they feel obligated just to like, okay, we'll give it to you. Like they didn't like Breaking Bad, but they knew they had to award that show.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're the only ones that know of something going on. Like on the film when we talked about Frances McDormand having never won, they might not even be aware of that. It's not like it's seeped over into the public conversation or their own even private conversations, maybe. But here, with what Tom just said about the special and the fact that he probably jokingly mentions it at every party he sees them at, So I think in this for one particular case, I think you've all convinced me. This does make a lot of sense. I like the Amy Poehler comparison, winning on a year where she hosted and the show got in. Not that he's hosting this, but it does make a lot more sense.
It also helps that the other three did not get in because they might feel obligated, like, I'll vote for like Megan instead of Eric or Deborah. Like, I don't think the show's winning.
I had Deborah winning back before nominations came out. I thought she was the perfect scenario of winning this type of category because supporting was going to be just so difficult with dramatic people in there as well. So when she didn't get nominated, that does kind of push everything into Eric's corner.
I just switched to Eric McCormack. I made a live switch on our slugfest. He's my new pick to win.
So. But then aren't you almost arguing, given that nobody else is in, then how much affection really is there for the return of Will and Grace?
It's up for Sue.
Yeah, but I feel like this way, like they could just funnel all their support to him. It's like they know it's over 27, and if they feel guilty about that, like I don't think it's winning show, like comedy series, so they could just give it to Eric. I mean, I don't think like they all sit in a room and like vote that way, but that's kind of like the logic you could use. Like I can't vote in any other acting category.
So as somebody mentioned, it's on NBC. Joyce, what do you have winning drama series?
I think what everyone has, Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got that too. Sometimes they like to be first. We just mentioned Marvelous.
They couldn't be first with this.
Sometimes they don't like to be perceived as being behind the times. They'll want to, if they feel like the whole industry is behind Handmaid's Tale. Remember, it took them forever to give Breaking Bad the award. Gave it to it for its last season. Gave it to Bryan Cranston at the very tail end. It almost felt like they were looking foolish by not giving it an award at some point. Of course, this is very early on for Handmaids, but it also feels like their kind of show. I mean, it's got that international appeal. It's got that it's based on a novel. It just feels like something they would really want to support anyway. Mm-hmm. And then I would pair up Elizabeth Moss with that. They generally, like I said, pair things up. And they're one of the few organizations, maybe the only one on like a televised award show that had ever given Elizabeth Moss an award before the Emmys did this year. They gave her an award for Top of the Lake a few years ago, so they like her in general.
It's also the only new show, and as we know, the Globe voters love new shows. It's the only season 1 show that's nominated this year.
Well, so that kind of
is not nominated. So Freddie wins TV actor. That pairing will not be there in the voters' minds. So therefore, pairing is available for Elizabeth Moss and series.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask Joyce about. This Is Us and Sterling K. Brown. I mean, you've got that both in second. So you just can't see either of those scenarios where, I don't know, just to me,
I could see Sterling winning, but I also see him being like another Rami Malek, where like everyone thought Rami was going to win for the first scenes of Mr. Robot, and they gave it to John Hamm again, and they just took care of acting Mr. Robot with Christian Slater, and then everyone thought since he won the Emmy, they'll give it to him the next year, but he still lost. So I could just see that happening to Sterling too. And like Freddie is on a new show. It's a hit show. And he'll be the first actor to win for a broadcast series since Hugh Laurie, who's also British, who played a doctor in a show by David Shore, who is the EP of The Good Doctor. There's a lot of parallels there. Like, I think it hurts him that the show wasn't nominated, but I could just totally see them going for him. And he's so charming. Like, they'll want a speech from him on stage. But if they just want to, like, fall in line with everyone else, they'll just give it to Sterling.
This is, again, now you see why we are so thrilled to have Joyce on the team, guys, right? Okay, so who knew Hugh Laurie, last broadcast show, drama actor? No, I mean, no. I thought it was Mike Connors in Mannix.
I'm still picking
Hugh Laurie's
Sterling.
one of only 2 people to win this category twice in the past
35
years.
And then he won, and then he beat Sterling last year for Night Manager.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, look at this. And how many Emmys does Hugh Laurie have, Joyce?
0. He should have won for Beat.
See, that one I knew. What else do we want to talk to Joyce about? You can see why we're so thrilled that she's here. Those catch-all, the categories you hate, those catch-all.
I hate those.
Supporting categories. So right now you've got Big Little Lies winning both.
Yeah, I just have, like, I don't feel good about either of them. I could see anyone winning those. I'm very wary of David Harbour, especially after his SAG speech last year. Like, the Globes might just want a moment from him on their stage too. So I'm tempted to switch to him. But also Alexander Skarsgard fits the Globes actor bill as well. And he comes from an acting family, you know, his dad, who's never won a major award either. Like, this could be a way of, you know, honoring, like, the family too. And he was great on the show. Laura, I could totally see them. They love her, but I could see them being like, we've given her 3 already. Let's go with someone else.
And
it's too bad she doesn't come from an acting family as well.
I know.
So Daniel, you were talking about the someone else not being Chrissy Metz from This Is Us, but Shailene Woodley from Big Little Lies, right?
Yeah, she, you know, speaking of actors who fits the bill, she, you know, a little bit like we were talking about Jessica Biel, she's, you know, she hasn't been working for quite as long, but, you know, she's this up-and-coming actress. The Globes already like her. They nominated her for The Descendants on the film side. They love Big Little Lies, so if they want to reward that here, you know, they could decide, you know, Laura Dern, we've given her 3 Golden Globes before. She just won the Emmy. If we're going to go with, we love Big Little Lies, let's go with Shailene. You know, this young glamorous star in this category with mostly veteran actors. We were talking about this on the film side with potentially Armie Hammer winning that supporting actor race. The only other kind of young up-and-comer in this race, other than Shailene, is Chrissy Metz. So, and I'm not sure, you know, I feel like Chrissy Metz, this isn't necessarily her moment. Like, last year was her big moment, but this year there might be the Big Little Lies train is so big, and Handmaid's Tale is so big, and Michelle Pfeiffer is this big comeback movie star. So I feel like it'll be hard for Chrissy Metz to win. But I'm predicting Laura Dern, but I'm so tempted to switch to Shailene.
But what about Michelle Pfeiffer, Chris? I mean, I'm sort of mindful. We were saying before about, you know, the big movie stars in categories. I mean, you know, she's got a nice hit with Murder on the Orient Express.
And Mother, she was in, right?
And Mother, which was, she sort of escaped unscathed from that. She was the only one that really got, you know, there was even a slight murmuring of Oscar talk for her even after the reviews. So what, Chris, who are you predicting, and who could you see pulling off an upset in that category?
I've got Laura Dern. I'm not going to switch off of her. I don't know that she's not as big a movie star over the career as Michelle Pfeiffer. She's not been the lead like Michelle Pfeiffer used to be, but that was a long time ago. And like we said earlier, I don't know. Yes, Laura Dern has won 3 times, but they were so spread out over her career. I don't know that they realize that. I don't know that that's something they're going, that she's won 3. They're not looking up their own page to see how many she's won. She fits everything for me. She's in a movie contender here, which Michelle Pfeiffer is not. She is a child of Hollywood, and she won for Enlightened, of all things. So I mean, they really like Laura Dern.
You know, it just occurred to me, she's in the biggest movie right now, Star Wars. And didn't that help? Who did that help? Oscar
Isaac.
Yeah.
That's something else to think about.
Sure did.
So
she has
Joyce,
several movies this year.
And she was in Twin Peaks. She was the best thing about Twin Peaks.
And Kimmy Schmidt.
So Joyce, you confessed on the film side that you weren't unsure of a lot of categories and probably be changing right up to the last minute. How confident are you in your TV predictions? I just need to know when I should come in to steal them. Should I wait until
probably like Sunday, like an hour or two before the show? I mean, like, like the supporting categories are really, they're always the ones I'm unsure about, but the other ones I feel pretty good about, except maybe Jessica Biel. I don't know. I may just stick with that. Sometimes I like to just keep like one really out there prediction.
Now, are you like most of us when you make these last minute prediction changes that you basically it's a wash because half of them you change from right to wrong and the other half from wrong to right? I mean, is it?
I guess. I mean, like for the Oscars last year, I changed to Sing at like 3:30, and then I got all three of the shorts right, and that's how I won the predictions. But like for the Globe nominations, I took Christopher Plummer out the night before, and then he got in. So yeah, so maybe it just alternates like every other one.
Right. Okay, well, it's and as good as we are, the people watching this, somebody out there will do better than us, at least, or many of them. Chris writes those score reports, and I'm not. How often, Chris, do the experts or the editors do as well as the users that are in the top 5 or 10?
Not on these televised awards. Usually, there's at least between 1 and 20 people that are ahead of our top expert or editor.
Okay, so we do better on, like, you mean the Guild Awards or something? Is that it?
Well, when there's let's say the trying to think of one that where we if we've got Cinematographers Guild, there's only 3 or 4 things we're predicting. Okay. You know, the just the sheer numbers crunch down a lot lower.
Oh, okay.
But on these where we've got double-digit categories to predict, usually there's between 1 and 20 people ahead of any of our top ones. And sometimes, like the Oscars last year, they don't even watch movies. They just darted the board and had good luck.
Oh. Yeah, it's true.
Well, he didn't, Tom. He watched 1.5 of the movies that were in contention, and both of them were animated.
But he certainly, and that's why we didn't do a webcam with him like we're doing with Joyce and with the people that win that do watch. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that at least at the nomination level, it'll be somebody who actually.
It's like, why did we even do this at all then?
Yeah, and that's
save us the trouble. I could win the nominations contest.
All right. Well, listen, Joyce. Thank you. Try, baptism by fire here, doing 2 slugfests in a row with us, and I know to tease this, there also is going to be just it's you and Tom are going head to head on Oscar predictions.
Yeah.
So okay, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody.